Welcome to the VRF Wizard. Today we are going to be reviewing the Kluake 19KN ZoomLock fitting tool. You may be familiar with ProPress, which is a similar press fit fitting used in water applications such as plumbing, domestic plumbing, chilled water, heating hot water, condenser water. But the ZoomLock fitting and tool is used for refrigeration fittings, allowing you to avoid using a torch. No flames and no fumes. This is definitely an innovative fitting and tool. So let's get started. First off, this is a 5-jaw kit, and it comes with the following. As you see, it comes in a nice sturdy plastic case, which is padded on the inside. And this one is 5 jaws, so what you're going to get a 3/8, a 1/2 inch, a 5/8, a 7/8, and a 1 1/8 jaw. So as you can see, I've already opened this one. This is the 3/8. And so what comes with it is a tube cutter from Rigid. So everything's in here that you'll need to make a connection. Have a deburring tool for your tubing. You'll need to make sure that there's no burrs on the tubing so that it doesn't damage the O-ring inside the fitting. So as you can see in this one, you can see the O-ring in there, and the last thing you want to do is have a burr on your tubing, which would damage that O-ring, because that is the O-ring that makes the seal. So be sure to have a clean tubing, and we'll go over that later. Right now we're just looking at what comes in the case. And then it also includes a crimp gauge. This is to make sure that you have the proper crimp. As you can see, it has all the sizes on here, from 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8, 1/2, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, 1 1/8, and 1 3/8. So that will cover all your fitting sizes. Then also similar to that is the depth gauge. Now this is to confirm, and with your marker, which comes in the case, so you have nothing lacking, you will mark your tubing according to its size to make sure you get the proper depth, which is important when you're using a press fit fitting. So we'll go over that. Also included is a stainless steel brush, once again, to make sure that you have a clean tubing connection with your fitting. Now it comes with 2 batteries. So these are 18-volt batteries from Makita, and these batteries are 1.3 amp hour batteries. They take 15 minutes to charge, so you should, with 2 batteries, you should never run out of power on a job site. Now they have a larger battery. This particular one will do 150 cycles per charge. The 3.0 AH battery will do 300 cycles per charge. So you can get a larger battery if you want more cycles, but I don't see that necessary. So it does come with 2. Here's the tool. We'll go over that and show you how to use that later. Okay, and here's the charger base, where you put your battery on to charge. The pressing cycle of this tool is 3 to 4 seconds. The tool with the battery attached weighs 4.1 pounds. It's very light. The Rigid tool is a couple of pounds heavier. So this from RLS, the Kluake 19KN, is lighter than the rigid. So that's the Kluake 19KN by RLS with the Makita battery. Everything in this case you need to make a ZoomLock fitting. It fits nicely and snugly in the case. Also, you have an abrasive pad, once again, for making sure you have a clean joint. If there's anything you take away from this review, besides the tool, is to make sure that you have a clean joint. It's all about making sure you have and follow the proper procedure and protocol to make a proper joint. Okay, we're going to go over the installation instructions. So the first thing you want to do is grab your tool and look at the pin here and turn it 45 degrees to open it up. You can see there's some grooves in here that lock it in place when it's closed. So we're going to take our jaw and we're going to make that pin go through the center there. Just slide it on, real simple, and it lines up. The pin goes through, it locks the jaw in place. And now we're going to slip our battery on the end here, which is real simple. It's just grooved, it slides in easily. There you go, you see the light come on. Now we have our tool ready to go. We need to cut a piece of copper. So I got a piece of copper here. And the tool kit, ZoomLock tool kit, comes with a tube cutter. We're just going to get a small piece. So put it on there, snug. Turn it around, tighten it a little bit each time. Not too much so you don't deform the pipe. And there we go. Got a small little piece. Now you take your deburring tool, which has two ends. This is for the inside and this is for the outside. You can see. So we're going to make sure we have a nice clean outside, because that's the piece that will ruin the O-ring. So what you want to do is rotate this 5 to 7 times to remove any burrs that would be on the outside that would damage the O-ring. Okay, you can see the O-ring there. That would get damaged if you didn't clean the outside of your tubing, so you want to make sure to do that. Next, you want to use your abrasive pad that comes with it and rotate that for 5 to 7 seconds. Get a nice finish on the end of the tubing. So now you want to inspect it for any visible scratches or any deformity. So this one looks good, feels good. So now we're going to take our depth gauge and mark where we need to make sure our fitting is fully inserted. So you mark at the end here, make sure we're using a 5/8 here. So I'm going to put a little mark right here at the end. And so now I want to be able to make sure my fitting is inserted to that mark. So I'm going to pull that out, grab my fitting here. You can see the O-ring in there at this point. So I want to make sure that that goes in right where that mark is. See, and then we know we're far enough. So you see the mark, and then that's where we can make our crimp. So you wouldn't want to be out like this. If you see that, then you know you're going to have a problem. Make sure that you get that all the way up to that mark. That way you're going to ensure that you have a sealed joint. Okay, now we're going to grab our tool. We're going to open the head so that we can position it over our fitting. And unlike ProPress, we do not line up the center of the jaw with the O-ring. The flange on the fitting and the O-ring go to the outsides of the clamp. So as you see, we're going to line up the center of the clamp in the center between the O-ring and the flange, so that the flange sits in the groove here on the outside and the O-ring sits on the other outside of the clamp. That's important, otherwise you're not going to get the proper joint. And then once it's in place, then we're going to pull the trigger for 3 to 5 seconds, and when it's finished, it automatically shuts off. And so now all you have to do is squeeze the head and pull it off, and you'll see that our mark is in the right spot. If you've done the connection right, you'll notice that the initials RLS show up on the outer side. It's hard to see because they're so small, but that's another confirmation that you got the joint right. You see our mark is in the right spot, and that RLS is shown in the jaw there. Okay, so one more thing to confirm that you have a proper crimp is that you have the crimp gauge. So you find your size, and then you're going to put it on there to make sure that it fits. And you see that fits snugly in there. That means the joint was done correctly, it's crimped correctly. It fits nice. Wow, I think this is a pretty innovative tool. It's quick, no flame, no fumes, no toxic off-gassing or toxic byproducts of the brazing process. And yeah, you're not pulling that apart. That's on there. Here's a cutaway of a fitting that shows the O-rings on each side of this coupling. This has a dimple in the middle so that you can't go too far with one side of the tubing. They'll hit the dimple in the middle there. And you can see the O-rings. So our fitting is on there snugly. We got the confirmation of the initials RLS. We've confirmed the crimp with our crimp gauge. Fits snugly on there. So we have a good joint. So you definitely don't want to proceed any further if that crimp gauge doesn't fit snugly on there, because that would indicate that you didn't get a good joint. So since it fits snugly on there, we know we got a good joint. We got several confirmations that we did the procedure correctly. We've got the fitting inserted to the marked point. We got confirmation with the initials on the edge of the fitting. And then we've also confirmed with our crimp gauge that we got a proper crimp. So with those three methods, the mark, the RLS, and the crimp gauge, we've confirmed that we followed the procedure and got a proper crimp. So remember to always deburr and use your abrasive pad to clean the outside after deburring. Always use the pad after deburring. And always look for visual scratches or any kind of mark that would damage the O-ring. And then you confirm your mark, your depth. One of the great features of the ZoomLock tool is the rotation of the head is almost a complete circle. So it helps in difficult situations on a project site where you need to rotate your head to reach the pipe or the fitting. As you can see, the rotation of the head without moving the tool base is almost completely all the way around. It's almost a complete circle, which is 360. This will do 350. So the head almost turned all the way around. As opposed to the rigid tool, you're only going to get 270 degrees. So it's much more versatile in the field in difficult situations. Our conclusion on the Kluake 19KN is it may just be the best tool out there for the ZoomLock fitting due to its lighter weight, it's well balanced in your hand, and the key we believe may just be that 350-degree rotating head, which the competition doesn't seem to be able to get close to. And we all know that when you're in those difficult situations, those hard to reach places, an extra few degrees on that rotating head just may be the key to an easier installation. So call your distributor and get a demo and move on to an innovative tool. Offer your owners, your generals, and if you're in maintenance, this may just make it easier to make those repairs. So check it out.